Alrighty, here we go.
Okay, so if you want to fill that out, and I'll hold on to this, and then I'll help for this. Hi there. Traffic school? Okay.
So you have to pay,
Yeah, that's for you.
King City? The traffic school, $25, right?
Yes. So 25 today, and that's the King City. Which day did you want to go? Sorry. It's a full day on Saturday. It'll be at PCC Sylvania.
Can't believe all y'all buy into this fraud.
Okay. And then you'll register within the class within 3 days. You can do that by phone, online, or if you want to mail it in, you can do it that way too. And please take that white form with you to the class and we'll have it in the back.
Then when you go home, fill out another year.
Start that.
No, we don't need it. That's registration form.
Is it 1125? Remember? You can make it any day.
It's a lot of fraud to see
I'll
this
leave it
community.
at that. So the payments are due on the same time every month.
And you want to pay by credit card,
So.
cash, or
Just
the payment card? I can help you.
It's just the day that you come in for.
So you want to
pay on the
just
three,
pay
it's fine.
it off, or?
So, you pay more than 20 a month? Because that's almost 2 years.
I'm sorry?
My single brother and I, we've been a full-time student and I don't
Okay,
work,
sure.
so I mean, that's it.
So it will be,
So whatever you're doing, tell me.
for the cash, right? Yeah.
Figure it out. Alright, let's make it a copy of that.
Yes, okay. 235. So you, I got 435. 435.
Here's a copy of that. Our contact information is on the bottom, so if you want to mail payment, bring it in by phone, whatever.
Okay.
That's for you. I'm just gonna leave it.
You don't have to pay it, it's fraud.
What was
I
that?
said that you don't have to pay it, it's fraud.
From
Swear to God. The law was broken if there was no victim.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and, the 200, do you make a payment plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna just, sitting there going through the rest of the inflation. Once you get five, that's one of the stuff. Let me know what Tam is here, we'll, we can pretty much start.
Alrighty, let's go getting.
seat up here, Mr. Chairman. Let me just do this one here.
The show. What's up, Daniel?
Well, Mr. Carver, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, attitude.
I have a little bit of a cold.
Okay, Mr. Carver, before I get the trial started and get you and the officer sworn in, I want to go over just some basic things. First of all, this is a trial. This is a proceeding. We all have our roles to do. Individually, you don't owe me any respect. Individually, I don't owe you any respect. Neither one of us has done anything to earn the other's respect. That being said, though, I have to respect you as a litigant in this court. That's the role you play, and you deserve respect for that. Likewise, I am the judge. I've been appointed. I am entitled to a certain amount of respect for that. So I just ask that we both respect one another in our roles there. I am certainly going to allow you to make your arguments that you want. I understand they're a number of Constitution. I will tell you that I have had the opportunity to review your letter to King City, so I know the constitutional arguments. I will tell you that more likely than not, you're not going to like my rulings. And that's, so be it, okay? There are avenues for you to proceed to appeal my rulings. And that I would encourage you to do. I will tell you that I admire anyone who is willing to challenge the status quo. I think that is an admirable thing to do. I don't think it's done often enough these days. But there are ways that it has to be done. And much of the relief you are seeking is inapplicable to this court. But I'm certainly going to let you make that argument. If I rule against you, I just ask that you respect the fact that I'm listening to you and I'm making a ruling to what I believe is accurate. If a subsequent court determines that I'm wrong, okay, it wouldn't be the first time someone's found that I'm wrong. If they find that I'm right, so be it, and you may need to appeal that to a higher court. So there are procedures for doing that. Before we begin, do you have any basic questions?
No.
Okay.
Anything.
So if you please stand, I'm going to ask both of you to raise your right hand to be sworn.
I do so under duress.
Pardon me?
I do so under duress.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Carver, the way the process goes is the officer gets to go first since he has the burden of proof.
Okay.
He puts on his case. At the conclusion of his testimony, you'll have the opportunity to question him. It's not an opportunity to argue with him, merely to ask him any questions to clarify his testimony.
Okay.
When you've done with that, if the officer doesn't have anything further, he essentially rests. At that point, it goes over to you to tell me, make any arguments, tell me your side of the story, give any factual statements as well as the legal arguments. When you've concluded, the officer will have the opportunity to ask you questions. Again, not to argue with you, merely to clarify any of your testimony. At the conclusion of that, I will issue my ruling. And again, if I don't know what the end result is going to be on the violation, I have suspicions on the constitutional arguments where I'm going to end up, but you and I are going to have at least a somewhat detailed conversation on those. If there are areas of the law that you are addressing today that were not previously raised in your letter, I may not be familiar with those, and I may not, and I'll try to rule from the best of my ability. I'm going to ask you today, are you recording this hearing?
I am.
Okay, and I want to let you know that under Oregon law, it is unlawful to record conversations if you do not get the person's consent.
If it's in a public area.
It doesn't matter. If you're having a conversation with someone, says you, I'm going to wait. I'm fine with you recording it, but I just want to let you know that in the future, and Oregon's got this really. I don't understand why. If I'm having a telephone conversation with you, I can record that telephone conversation without telling you I'm recording it. If we're having a face-to-face conversation, I have to tell you I'm recording it. I don't understand why they made that differentiation, but the legislature did, and I'm going to respect it. That being said, I just want to get on the record that you are recording this, and I'm fine with that. Okay, so I specifically waive. Officer, do you have any objection to it being recorded?
I have no objection.
Okay. And Dave, you're a spectator, so I don't. I'm at least advising you that this is being recorded. So anything you do say, I don't believe you're not going to be called as a witness. I don't think. I'm not aware of, but just understand that if you do chime in, that's being recorded. If you want to put it up here, so we can better. Yeah.
law enforcement officer employed by the city of King City since October 1997. On January 27th, year 2014, at approximately 11:17 a.m., I was on duty in uniform and operating a marked patrol car on routine patrol driving west on Southwest Fisher Road towards Southwest 136th Avenue. Southwest Fisher Road near 136th Avenue is a public roadway within the state of Oregon, city of King City. On the mentioned date and time, while driving on Fisher Road, I observed a white Mitsubishi van driving behind my patrol car, also westbound on Fisher Road. As I looked at the Mitsubishi van approximately 2 to 4 car lengths behind me, I did not see a registration plate displayed on the front of that vehicle. I conducted a traffic stop on the Mitsubishi van on Southwest 134th Terrace, near Southwest Macbeth Drive. I contacted the driver of the van. I told him that I stopped him because there was a license plate displayed on the front of the vehicle and requested to see his driver's license. The driver presented Oregon driver's license number 3412933. I observed that driver's license is issued to Mr. Kevin Carver. And Mr. Carver is present today at this proceeding as a defendant. Mr. Carver told me that his front plate is displayed on the dashboard of the van and is visible through the windshield. At the time I was standing speaking with Mr. Carver at the driver's door, I could see that the plate was displayed on the dashboard. I told Mr. Carver that the front plate must be displayed in a manner that allows it to be easily read. I further advised Mr. Carver that I was not able to see and read the plate information as he followed my patrol car. During the stop, I did step in front of Carver's vehicle and stood approximately 15 feet away. I looked at the front of Carver's van and had difficulty clearly reading the information on the plate, including the registration tags fixed to the bottom of the plate. The plate on the dash of Carver's van is easily read if you stand, as I mentioned, next to the driver's door or within close proximity to the front of the vehicle. I recontacted Carver after making that observation and requested to see his proof of liability insurance. Mr. Carver presented me with a handwritten note on a small piece of paper that had obviously been torn off of a larger sheet. The handwritten information included the name of an insurance company and expiration date. I told Carver that I was unable to accept that as valid proof of insurance, and I asked Mr. Carver if he had anything else and to offer his proof of insurance and allow him an opportunity to search for the document. Mr. Carver did check the interior of his vehicle console and his glove box. Then he told me he did not have a printer, and the handwritten note was all he could provide. Consequently, I issued Mr. Carver citations for improper display of registration plates and failure to carry proof of insurance. Relevant conditions at the time of the violation were light traffic flow in a residential district. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Carver, do you have any questions of the officer?
Are you making a legal determination that I was in fact operating a motor vehicle?
Yes.
Do you know the definition of a motor vehicle?
If I'm permitted to go get a book, ORS book, yeah.
I have it right here.
Well, I would prefer to read it out of the ORS book.
Title 18 United States Code oversees that. And it says here, at every description of...
Okay, Mr. Carver, again, I'm going to interrupt you because this is more of an argument. The question was, does he know what the definition is?
I'm just explaining it to him.
Well, but he's already said he's relying upon the Oregon state law as opposed to 18 USC section 31.
Right, but...
So if you want to say that that's more of a legal argument that you and I are going to have, but you ask the officer, does he know, is he familiar with that statute? And the answer is going to be no, he's not. On what do you base your determination? He based it upon Oregon law. So that's kind of resolves that. I'd rather save our conversation regarding the applicability of that statute for our conversation as opposed to asking the officer, because I think you got the answer to the officer. Okay?
All right.
And you're going to have the opportunity to raise that issue, but that's more of a legal argument. The purpose on your questioning is more on the factual aspects of this. And so the factual aspects, of course, would be, where was the license, whether or not the license plate was adequately displayed, whether or not you had provided adequate proof of insurance. Those are the factual issues. The legal issues are really for you and I rather than you and the officer.
Right. But the license plate, the insurance, all that only applies to motor vehicles. It doesn't apply to my private Mitsubishi.
Okay, so let's you and I have a conversation on that right now. You're referring to 18 USC section 31?
Yep.
Okay, so that
Definition 6.
Sub 6 specifically says that the term motor vehicle, and that's for purposes of that